What's going on, guys? Ronan here, and I want to welcome you guys all to part 9 of What If Ash Was Born in Kalos. But before we get into this part, I need to give a special shout out to Ranger Rye over at the Ranger Base. He's the one who edited this video, so if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out his channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe. And speaking of subscribing, if you take a look at this number right here, you'll notice that only 30% of you guys that are actually watching the videos are subscribing. So, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, it'll help grow the channel and help us get to a larger audience. But without further ado, let's get into the next part of What If Ash Was Born in Kalos. I hope you enjoy. We're picking back up with Ash as he is deep within the forest outside of Snowbell City. His Cranidos is in mid-evolution as the blinding light basks everyone in its radiance. As the light begins to fade, Ash calls Cranidos' name, but what emerges is not a Cranidos, but a much larger, hulking, ironclad Pokemon. Unsure of what to call this Pokemon, Ash hopes that his Pokédex has some answers, pulling it out. The Pokédex recognizes this Pokemon as Rampardos, but has no information on it other than it shows attributes of the dark type, just like Cranidos did. Unsure of what to do, Ash approaches his Pokemon, but this is a mistake, as this evolution has triggered something inside of Rampardos, something primal. It begins to rampage throughout the surrounding territories, attacking anything that moves, so much so that the mysterious Pokemon is now forced to defend the humans that have invaded its territory, trying to draw the fire of this hulking beast. Ash calls to Rampardos, trying to bring it back to its senses. Rampardos, please, it's me, Ash. We've been through so much. Please, recognize me. But nothing. All it can do is just attack, charging headlong, firing Zen headbutts, and another move that Ash does not recognize. The Pokédex clicks on as Ash jumps out of the way to inform him that this move is known as Head Smash. Ash just looks on in pure shock. This is just like the day when he first met Cranidos. All it does is attack. It's like the friend that he made over the course of his journey is no longer there. Then he hears in his mind a muffled voice. Human, you need to get out of here. It is not safe. Realizing that this is the psychic type that they were battling earlier, Ash looks at it. I'm not leaving Rampardos. No matter how dangerous the situation is, I refuse to abandon one of my friends. Meanwhile, Alexa and Grant are doing their best to dodge the situation as well. Unfortunately, they don't have enough time in between charges to call on any of their Pokemon, as this evolution of Cranidos is much faster than its pre-evolved form. Growing tired of the situation, the mysterious psychic-type Pokemon steps in, deciding to end this with firing an Aura Sphere at the ironclad metal dinosaur. But much to its surprise, Rampardos actually pushes through, connecting with the Head Smash on the mysterious psychic-type. This enrages the mysterious Pokemon even more, causing it to unleash its full fury. It begins to glow in its psychic aura, with its eyes radiating a piercing light. This draws the attention of everyone in attendance. Ash pleads with the mysterious Pokemon not to harm its partner, but it's too late. This mysterious Pokemon has charged an Aura Sphere, far more intense than the previous ones used. It's like it's put all of its energy into this one attack, and it aims to level Rampardos in one move. With one final assault, Rampardos and the mysterious psychic type square off as they fire their finishing attacks. The Aura Sphere collides with the Head Smash, Rampardos surprisingly holding it back. But you can tell, due to the battle prior to its evolution, that it's still weak, and it is losing ground. As the Aura Sphere begins to consume Rampardos, Ash, in a last-ditch effort, pulls out the Pokeball for his Pokemon, calling for it to return. This was smart, as it was able to prevent the attack from making full contact, causing serious damage to his Pokemon. Ash just stares at the ball in pure silence, hoping that this was only a temporary thing with his friend, and unsure about how to process the situation. With the threat now averted, Grant and Alexa approach Ash, helping him to his feet, hoping that he's alright. Unfortunately, they have little time to breathe, as they still have one major problem to deal with, the mysterious psychic type. It now grows tired of these humans in its territory. With the flick of its wrist and a flash of light, they find themselves jettisoned from the forest all the way back to the perimeter of Snowbell City. Whoa, that was a wild ride, Grant says. Yeah, I have to agree, so Alexa follows up. How did we get here, Ash? Unfortunately, Ash, that's the power of psychic types. They can flex and bend matter to their command, and it seems like that one did not want us in its territory, so it sent us back to Snowbell City. Well, I guess it's for the best, Ash says. We need to get to a Pokemon Center. Rampardos Rampardos was injured pretty badly. Agreed, both Grant and Alexa second. With that, they take off back to the center, as it is now nightfall over the snow-crested city. Once they get to the Pokemon Center, Ash pleads with Nurse Joy to check his Pokemon, especially his Rampardos. It had an evolution and then an intense battle with the mysterious Pokemon in the woods outside of Snowbell City, he says. Nurse Joy, knowing it was foolish for Ash to go into those woods, begins to scold him, but she gives him a break because she realizes that it's more important that she looks after Rampardos. Unfortunately, after it's let out of the ball, Nurse Joy finds herself at a loss. This isn't a Rampardos, she says. Ash tells her, yeah, it is. While we were in the forest battling that Pokemon, my Craniodos came in contact with an item that was given to me. I think it was called Metal Coat. But once it came in contact with it, it triggered its evolution. Really, she says. Interesting. Well, I'm going to do what I can for your Pokemon. I'm going to take it now, and I'll be back as soon as I have an update. With that, Nurse Joy and Chansey take Rampardos to the back room to be looked at, relegating Ash, Alexa, and Grant to wait until there is more information. Many hours pass, and it becomes daybreak in the Pokemon Center, and Ash, Grant, and Alexa have all fallen asleep in the waiting room. Luckily, though, Nurse Joy has finally emerged with an update for Ash. Ash, wake up! Oh, Nurse Joy, how's Rampardos? It's going to be fine, Ash. It did take quite the beating with whatever you battled in the forest, but it will make a full recovery. I do have to say, Ash, this Rampardos is unlike any Pokemon I've ever seen before. Of its species, normally it's just a pure rock type, but it has traits of the dark typing. Yeah, it had that as a Cranidos as well. I noticed that when I treated it earlier yesterday after your gym bout. There is, however, something that I've noticed with its evolution. Oh yeah? And what's that, Nurse Joy? Please tell me it's not bad news. Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's very intriguing. It seems that the metal coat that it used for its evolution transformed its typing. It's no longer a rock type. Now, the typing it has is steel, making it a dual steel dark type. Steel dark type, Ash says? Yes, it's quite interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen a fossil actually change its typing. This catches Ash, Grant, and Alexa all in a state of shock. These Pokemon that are of different colors that are showing up in the regions have many mysteries about them. First, Mega and its gaining of the fairy type. Now Rampardos and its type swapping from the rock type to the steel type. This is very mysterious. Both Grant and Alexa have their own individual thoughts, but they decide to keep them to themselves. Ash's main concern, however, is if Rampardos is okay, and that's all he cares about, insisting that Nurse Joy take him to see it. She tells him that he can go see it, but it needs to be brief, as Rampardos needs its rest. So with that, Ash, Grant, and Alexa all enter the room where Rampardos sleeps. Ash approaches Rampardos on the bed, telling it that it'll be alright. He doesn't know what happened back there, but whatever it is, they will work through it. And with that, the rest of the day fades on. After some time passes, it's just in the afternoon, while Ash and his friends are at the Pokemon Center. They are met with a sight that's become quite the usual scene around here. Wolfric. He's here to get his Pokemon checked up on, as he's had another battle at the gym. He really wasn't expecting to see Ash or his friends here. So, while Nurse Joy takes his Pokeballs to go check out his Pokemon, he begins to mingle with them, asking them how their experience was in the forest outside of Snowbell City. Absolutely awful, Ash says. We were attacked by something. Oh, really? I don't think it could have been that serious, Wolfric says. But Alexa and Grant both chime in. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that he's not kidding. We were attacked by something, and this something was extremely powerful. It was a Pokemon, unlike any of us had ever seen before, and it seemed to have the psychic typing. What seemed like anger had consumed it. A fury unknown by anything I had ever seen before, Grant says. Grabbing his chin. Really, Wolfric says. That is strange. I haven't heard of anything like that around these parts before, but maybe it was just something passing through. I highly doubt that, Alexa says, as this Pokemon declared that they were in its territory, and it made it very clear that they were not welcome there. Well, that is unfortunate, Wolfric says. However, maybe it's for the best that you guys don't go back, as it seems like whatever it was is extremely dangerous. So maybe it's just best that you guys moved on and did some training on the road, and then came back to challenge my gym when you were a little bit stronger, Ash. Grant and Alexa both agree with this sentiment. Ash, however, is silent. He's unsure about it. Something about this feels off, like this Wolfric guy isn't telling the whole truth. But anyway, he can't worry about that now, as Rampardos is still in intensive care. But they have some time to kill before Wolfric's Pokemon are ready, so he asked them if they would join him for a meal in the Pokemon Center cafe, which they all happily agree to. After finally eating their fill and getting a much needed meal in them after they haven't eaten in about a day or so, the group is content, ready to wind down for the day, as they don't really have much else they can do until Rampardos is back up and moving. Wolfric gets the notification that his Pokemon are ready, so he decides to set off. heading to the counter to claim them. Ash, leaving his friends at the table, walks with Wulfric to see him out. Wulfric begins to talk with Ash, telling him that it's probably best if he doesn't try to go back into that forest. Ash then turns to Wulfric and asks him, "Why are you so intent on keeping me out of that forest when you were the one who tried to send me in?" "Oh," Wulfric says, "so you think I'm trying to keep you out? I was only giving you a suggestion, but if you would like to go back in, who am I to stop you?" He then tells Ash, "You know, there is a secret about that forest." Ash, leaning in closer, asks Wulfric what it is. Wulfric tells Ash that the forest is said to be guarded by a Pokemon, and when multiple humans enter its territory, it won't hesitate to remove them from it. But sometimes, if there's only one person who doesn't draw a lot of attention to themselves who enters the territory, they can get past and get close to the guardian of the forest. So that's the secret, Ash says. "Well, it's just a rumor," Wulfric says. "After all, I don't really know if what you encountered was the guardian of the forest. But anyway, I have to head back to the gym now, as I'm pretty sure I'm going to have another challenger here soon. It was nice talking with you guys, Ash, and I really hope that your Pokemon feel better." With that, Wulfric sets off from the Pokemon Center, leaving Ash alone with his thoughts. Some more time passes, and it's finally nightfall. Ash and his friends decide to settle in for the night, as they don't really have much else to do, as the only thing they have going on is waiting on Rampardos to wake up. Ash decides that he's going to sleep in the room with Rampardos, just in case it wakes up, and out of confusion decides to start to rampage again. Meanwhile, Grant and Alexa decides to take the main room that they had rented in the Pokemon Center, and with that, the group settles in. A few more hours pass, and Ash has had nothing but time on his hands to think about what Wulfric said. Only one human in the forest. Only one, he thinks to himself. Ash is starting to form a thought in his head. A thought that could be the most dangerous thought he's ever had. But it's interrupted when Rampardos begins to stir on his bed, slowly regaining consciousness, and the first thing it sees is its trainer. Luckily for Ash, though, it's not in a rampaging mood. It actually looks around in confusion, not understanding the situation. Ash goes on to explain to it that they had a battle in the forest. Rampardos remembers the battle, and then a light. After that, everything went dark. Ash then points to the mirror that's on the wall, showing Rampardos in its newly evolved state, telling it it's no longer a Cranidos. During the battle, it had evolved, and then it went on a rampage. Ash couldn't control it, and the Pokemon they were battling, well, it decided to go all out against it. And at the last minute, Ash was able to get it into its Pokeball. After that, the Pokemon sent them back here. Rampardos looks at Ash, just grateful that it didn't actually harm its trainer, briefly nuzzling against him. Ash, grateful that Rampardos is back to its normal self, pats it on the head, and then he asks it, "How would you like a chance for a rematch against that Pokemon?" The look in Rampardos' eye changed to that of someone who's ready to battle, and it snorts as if it was ready to take on the battle now. Ash just laughs, telling, "Well, listen, first you gotta rest up, but I do have an idea on how we can battle it again." Rampardos nods, climbing back onto the bed, very clumsily, may I add, and settles in. Ash decides to settle in too, to try and get some sleep. The very next morning, at the crack of dawn, before anybody is up in the Pokemon Center, Ash recalls Rampardos, and heeding the words of Wulfric, he decides to set off back into the forest, retracing the same trail that him and his friends had taken. After a few hours, Ash finally reached the spot where they had battled the mysterious Psychic-type Pokemon. Ash knows that this spot is it, as it's fresh with the marks of battle from Rampardos and that Psychic-type. Then Ash thinks back. Which direction did that Psychic-type come from? Because chances are, that's the direction they have to head. They must have been close, or else it wouldn't have been here so quick. Thinking back, Ash envisions it, and he can see it. Heading off into an area deeper into the woods, Ash realizes that the beaten path is no longer there. This is just nothing but overgrown brush and densely wooded areas. It's almost impossible to move through. It's like nature itself is trying to keep him out of there. But that is not going to stop Ash as he continues to push through. Eventually, after what seems like forever, Ash can see light peeking through the trees. And as he moves closer, inch by inch, the light begins to grow and the tightness of the trees begins to open up until eventually he finds himself in a clearing. This clearing is like paradise. There's no snow, just wildflowers as far as the eye can see, with a brief river running off in the distance with the waterfall that forms at the crest. Wow, this place is amazing, Ash thinks to himself. No wonder that Pokemon didn't want us to get close. I can understand now why it was trying to protect it. Ash begins to step into this oasis in the forest, but from out of nowhere, another ball of energy streaks across the field, heading straight for Ash, barely missing him. Then he hears the same words he heard before. "Human, leave this place," echo throughout his mind. Ash looks around. "I know you're here. Come out." But nothing. Just another energy ball shoots in his direction. Luckily, Ash is able to avoid it by jumping out of the way again. And then again in his mind. I told you, human, you are not allowed here. I don't know how you got it this far in the forest without me being alerted, but I promise you, it'll be the last step you take if you take one more. Ash, being 10 years old and not one to be intimidated by threats, takes one more step, and all of a sudden, he is met with the form of a Pokemon that he has not seen before directly in front of him. I told you, human, leave. This is your last warning. What? Who? You're not the Pokemon we've faced before. Looking into this Pokemon's eyes, Ash feels something. Pure terror. This Pokemon legitimately intends to hurt him. Not like the Pokemon that he had saw before. The Pokemon in front of him is charging another psychic type attack, and this time, it's going to connect with Ash, as he is right in front of it. But then he hears a voice from across the field. Mewtwo, stand down. He is not a threat. Ash looks, and in the distance, he sees somebody he thinks he recognizes. Wulfric? Is that you? So, Ash, you made it. Good job. You took my hint seriously, and you actually followed through with them. What is this place? Wulfric approaches Ash and the mysterious Pokemon. Ash, I'd like to welcome you to the Pokemon Village. The Pokemon Village? Yes, Wulfric says. This is a place that I've created deep within the forest of Snowbell City. It's a place meant to be a sanctuary for abandoned and mistreated Pokemon. Pokemon that have nowhere else to go but cannot trust humans. This place and this environment is so harsh that it protects them from the outside world. Very few humans actually get in here, but the humans that do find their way here usually intend to be the ones who don't mean any harm towards Pokemon. The mysterious psychic type, furious by this statement, I've seen this boy. He has no regard for the feelings of his Pokemon. We battled yesterday. I saw it firsthand. Wulfric looks at the mysterious Pokemon. Mewtwo, calm down. Not every human is your enemy. Ash, thinking on Mewtwo? Is that the name of this Pokemon? But it's not the Pokemon I battled yesterday. Then an argument breaks out between Wulfric and Mewtwo. Mewtwo stating that Ash should not be allowed here. Mewtwo needs to erase its mind and send him back to the humans. Wulfric, however, disagrees, stating that Ash is a trainer that can be trusted. He is a human that can be trusted. Mewtwo needs to give him a chance. Mewtwo, looking at Wulfric, simply just turns and levitates away to a cave that overlooks the entire Pokemon village at the top of the peak. Sorry about that, Ash, Wulfric says. Mewtwo hasn't had the best track record with humans. It's been abused its entire life. The humans it trusts are very far in between. Ash, still trying to process everything that's going on. That thing is called Mewtwo? Yes, it is, Ash. But I didn't battle that the other day. I battled something else. Well, about that. Mewtwo actually has the ability of Mega Evolution, Ash. That's why I told you to come here. Because a Pokemon that can Mega Evolve without a human could possibly teach you the secrets of Mega Evolution that you seek. Wait, so you're telling me that thing can Mega Evolve by itself? Yes, it can, Wulfric says. It's the strangest thing. I've never seen anything like that before in my many years. It is truly a unique event for that Pokemon. Ash and Wulfric begin to take a tour of Pokemon Village. Wulfric explains the whole purpose of the village and why he is the only human that Mewtwo currently trusts. He only ever allows people to come here when he feels that those people will not bring harm to the place that he has built. That's why he told Ash to come alone, because someone among his group is not who they claim to be. Something among them caught Mewtwo's attention. That's why it attacked you. What do you mean by that? Wulfric tells Ash he doesn't know, but whatever it was, it triggered Mewtwo. This gives Ash something to think about, but he has other questions that he needs answered now. Like, how does Wulfric know Mewtwo? Wulfric tells Ash that he doesn't know where Mewtwo came from. One day, it just showed up in the village while he was tending to the Pokemon. It was injured, so Wulfric did the only thing he could do. He helped it heal up. At first, Mewtwo did not trust Wulfric, but over time, Mewtwo began to tolerate Wulfric's presence in the surrounding area, eventually being okay with Wulfric coming and going as he pleases. Mewtwo has somewhat become the guardian of this place, wanting to protect the Pokemon that were harmed by humans. So any human with any ill intent that gets close to the Pokemon village is immediately dealt with by Mewtwo. Really, Ash says. Yes. And he's usually quite efficient with it, erasing the memories of anybody involved. But for some reason, he didn't erase the memories of you or your friends. That's actually quite curious. That's the only reason why I told you how to get back here in the first place. Ash begins to think to himself. He has so many questions, so many concerns, so many things that he would like to ask, but he doesn't know where to start. Wulfric just laughs in his absurdly deep bellow. My boy, I can see that you're deep in thought, but you should put it on hold and just learn to enjoy the beauty of this place. Look, it's a paradise inside of a snow-covered mountain. How often do you see something like this in the world? Ash actually takes the advice and begins to soak in the surrounding beauty. This is something that he rarely gets a chance to do, as most of the time he's just battling, training with his Pokemon, or competing in gym battles, or battling Team Flare. Wulfric then turns to Ash. Listen, my boy, I'm going to tell you this once. This area is a special place. It's not meant to be known by the outside world. I must ask for you to keep this a secret. Can you do that? Ash, without hesitation, nods, saying that he will be happy, as no Pokemon deserves to be harmed by humans. And the ones that have been, they need a place to call their own. That's my boy, Wulfric says. Listen, I have to head back to the gym. Otherwise, people might get suspicious and come looking for me. But my suggestion is that you stay here. Maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to warm up to Mewtwo. With that, Wulfric takes his leave. As he disappears off into the brush, Ash looks around. Then, he slowly begins to notice movement coming out. Ash takes out his Pokedex to identify some of these Pokemon. Jigglypuff, Ditto, Gothorita, Amoonguss. Several different Pokemon begin to make their way out of the brush, curious to who this new human is. Meanwhile, Mewtwo watches with a steady glare on Ash atop his ridge side home. Ash begins to greet the Pokemon, telling them not to be afraid. He won't hurt them, but the Pokemon at first begin to keep their distance, not wanting to be harmed by this human. It takes a little while, but Ash eventually is able to get close to them, even being able to pet a few of them. And after a while, they realize that Ash really does mean them no harm, and they all begin to play. Ash, wanting to let the rest of his Pokemon in, releases the 6 of his Pokemon. This does cause a bit of a ruckus, as Slugma is a fire type, and they are in the middle of a meadow. So Ash immediately recalls it so that way it doesn't burn down the forest. But the other Pokemon are more than welcome in the area. Cloudster, wanting to get some time in the river, heads straight for it, as it's been a while since it's had its time in an actual body of water. Yanmega and Chespin decide to take off into the brush with some of the other Pokemon, playing effectively what is Pokemon hide-and-go-seek. Rampardos, still adjusting to its new size, is unsure on how to interact with these Pokemon. So it mostly just sticks close to Ash, kind of shy to begin with. And then there's Absol. Absol, not wanting to have anything to do with the rest of the group, decides to head off to a corner just so it can sleep. Ash is concerned about Absol, but he takes this time to make sure that the other Pokemon around him are not afraid of him anymore. So he interacts with them as much as possible, even getting Rampardos in on the action. By nighttime, Ash has built a fire in the little corner of the square to where all of his Pokemon except for Absol and some of the wild ones have all gathered around. Ash does his best to make a meal out of whatever he had in his bag, as he didn't really come prepared for this. But no matter, as the wild Pokemon of the Pokemon village tend to bring in some nuts and some berries from the surrounding woods for Ash and his Pokemon to share, even giving Absol a pile even though it's not really close to the group. Mewtwo sees this and is steadily letting its guard down, coming down from its hideaway peak to watch the group from a distance. Ash doesn't know what it is, but he feels like he needs to stay in this place for a while. He's not going to be heading back to Snowbell City anytime soon, so he makes the most of it, deciding he's going to do what Wulfric suggested he do: train. The next morning, things start bright and early, with Ash and his Pokemon in a full-on training regimen. All of the wild Pokemon from Pokemon Village at first didn't take too kindly to this, but then they understand what Ash is up to. It's not that he's trying to hurt his Pokemon, it's that he's trying to help them get stronger. It's not something that they're very accustomed with. As you can see, Ash in the middle of the fray, helping his Pokemon hone their attacks. All except for Absol, of course, as it's still just laying off on the side doing its own thing. This doesn't last for long though, as Ash does eventually approach it, asking Absol if it would like to join in on some of their training. But Absol, however, just ignores him. Ash, trying not to lose his cool with Absol the way he has been, again tries to get the attention of his partner. Absol is his first Pokemon, and they do have a bond, something that's far different than any of the other Pokemon that he's caught, and he doesn't like the fact that the two cannot work together anymore, that they're at odds with each other. And this does actually affect Ash mentally, emotionally, and physically, so much so that Mewtwo picks up on this. Mewtwo is slowly starting to come around to Ash, realizing that this human is actually genuine. Wanting to kind of throw Ash a bone, Mewtwo does step in. You know, human, there's a reason why your Absol doesn't want to have anything to do with you. It's because of your lust for Mega Evolution. What? Ash says, looking around. Mewtwo, I know you're here. Come out. Eventually, Mewtwo appears in front of Ash, teleporting to his side. Please, explain what you just said. I don't get it. All I wanted to do was help Absol grow stronger. Yes, and that in itself is the reason why Absol wants nothing to do with you. Absol, still looking away, briefly acknowledges this conversation happening to Ash, as Mewtwo is transmitting its thoughts into Absol's mind as well. Ash begins to ask Mewtwo what it means. How does it know that Absol doesn't want to Mega Evolve? Mewtwo says, "It's easy. I can read its mind. It has terrible memories of Mega Evolution. Do you even know where your Absol comes from?" "Well, all I know about it is it appeared one day, on the day when I turned 10 and I was trying to get my first Pokemon. It actually attacked me and a man called Lysander in the forest. Lysander had captured it to save me, but because I needed my first Pokemon, he gifted it to me. And we really didn't have much of a problem in the beginning, even working together to take down many trainers in the process. Yes, I can see all those memories in Absol, but there are memories of before those events deep inside of its consciousness." These words finally grab Absol's attention. "What do you see, Mewtwo?" Ash asks. "I see a place, a laboratory that conducted experiments on Absol. Experiments with Mega Evolution. They would force it to Mega Evolve, forcing it to battle, measuring its strength, testing its endurance, until it would drop day in and day out, until finally, one day, someone slipped up and Absol was able to break free. That lab that it was kept in wasn't too far from where it was captured by that human you call Lysander. I don't think the human you call Lysander is a bad person, but Absol does have a personal disdain for Mega Evolution after being experimented on for so long, being forced into what it feels is an unnatural transformation." "Unnatural," Ash says, "but it has a Mega Stone that reacts to it." "That may be the case," Mewtwo says, "as it transforms into its Mega Evolution, but a Mega Evolution has to be your choice, not someone else's. If Absol doesn't want to have anything to do with Mega Evolution, then it will never Mega Evolve again. And I don't blame it, after the way it was treated by those humans. I'm actually surprised that it would even trust you. The fact that it trusts you tells me that you are actually a good human, just one that has lost your way." Ash looks at Absol. "I'm sorry," he says. I didn't know." This apology, the tone, the weight, the gravity of the whole situation actually gets Absol to acknowledge Ash and come to its trainer's side. It can see tears in Ash's eyes. He didn't realize that Absol had such a tragic past before it came to Ash. "I get it now, Absol. I understand why you don't want to Mega Evolve. And if that's the case, then I won't force you to, and I will no longer push the issue." As Ash grabs the Keystone and the Absol Knight, dropping it into the river next to him to show his commitment to his partner, that he won't push this situation again. This one act shows Absol that what Ash says is true. He is genuine about that. And it also solidifies the fact that Ash is the type of person that Mewtwo can trust. With that, what happens next is something that is truly remarkable. Mewtwo begins to accept Ash as a human that it would want to have around, even going as far to train with all of Ash's Pokemon. This even includes Absol, as it slowly began to become part of the group again. And due to Mewtwo's involvement with the group, a couple of things begin to come to light. It notices that Ash's 3 specialty Pokemon, Rampardos, Yanmega, and Chespin, they all share characteristics with the legendary trio of the Kalos region, Pokemon that he's felt since he was created. This triggers a question from Ash. "What do you mean created?" "That's right, Ash. Created. I was created in a laboratory by someone, by a man that time forgot. And as I was brought into the world, I could feel the aura of these 3 Pokemon. An aura of healing, an aura of destruction, and an aura of protection. Those 3 auras, though faint, are shared within those 3 Pokemon. I don't know what their connection is to those 3, but you can believe that they are important." Ash, feeling like he just made a major breakthrough out of nowhere with these 3 oddly colored Pokemon that has come into his possession, asks Mewtwo if he can give him any more information. "Unfortunately, I cannot, as these Pokemon are unaware of their origins, so I cannot trace their origins through their memories. What I can tell you, this group that you call Team Flare, they will be back for these Pokemon, as whatever they have planned, these Pokemon are at the center of it." Ash begins to think about what Mewtwo said. Once he leaves here, he must contact Lysander. He has to inform him about what he's found out about the Pokemon, because that means that Serena could be in danger as well. But he's still not done with the reason that he has come here. He has training that he has to conclude. So with that, another week or so passes, with Ash training with Mewtwo and his Pokemon in this area. Then the day finally comes. Ash thanks Mewtwo for everything that he's done. Even if it didn't mean to, Ash is now closer with his Pokemon because of it. And that is truly something that Ash could never repay. With the final wave, Ash recalls all of his Pokemon and heads out of the forest, back to Snowbell City. And that is where we are going to leave our story for the time being. And that's all we have for What If Ash Was Born in Kalos Part 9. How'd you guys feel about this part? What do you guys think about Mewtwo's revelation of it being created? Who do you think the tall, dark man that time forgot is? And how do you feel about Ash's abandonment of Mega Evolution and the revelation that his 3 mysterious Pokemon are tied to the legendary trio of Kalos? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. So, with all that being said, let's close the video the best way we know how, to thank the sponsors of the video, the patrons. Silver Heart Soul, thank you. Robert, thank you. Vegito Gaming 78, thank you. Andrew McCartney, thank you. Holosiv, thank you. Julian Rodriguez, thank you. Ruben Watson, thank you. Lord Explosion Murder, thank you. Assassin 139, thank you. Flyer 943, thank you. Shadow Dragon, thank you. Tavern Landlord, thank you. K McKnight, thank you. Kevin Atran, thank you. Maker YAG, thank you. Drax, thank you. True Volt, thank you. Dalian Silva, thank you. Fox King, thank you. Dalian Petite, thank you. Warren E. Taylor, thank you. Plus Ultraman, thank you. Mega, thank you. Nelson Batista, thank you. And Mike Logan, thank you. And I want to thank you all for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.